This is Blu Laker. We're here at Radio Tribune in Las Vegas, Nevada at 717 South 9th Street. And we're located at the corner of 9th and Charleston. So if you would like to come by and voice an opinion, by all means do that, because we have some interesting subjects. Today we're going to talk about work versus welfare again, because it's a very interesting subject. As a matter of fact, when you think about all the welfare and so forth that's going out to everybody in the country, and you wonder why the infrastructure can't be built, it's puzzling to me at the same time. Now, it's not just the fact that we have people who are legitimately on, not welfare, but Social Security. Those people are there, and they have the right to be there because they've earned the right to be there. Now, a lot of this about the work versus welfare trade-off is this. Some people haven't earned that right. And if they haven't earned the right, then why are we paying it? Now, it's $668 billion, $668 billion that we give out to welfare every year. Now, that doesn't include the poor. There's another $287 billion that we pay out to the poor. Combined, that's $1 trillion. Wow. Yet, we could build an infrastructure system for half that. Half. It would provide jobs and opportunity for thousands and thousands of people on not just a temporary basis, but on a permanent basis. And allow for the infrastructure and the other things that we need. We need high-speed transportation. We need more roads. We need to improve the roads and bridges that we have. And, of course, we need to have more income. And the more income we have, the less liability we have. So, but that's some interesting facts about the work versus welfare trade-off. Because, you see, nobody has the incentive to get off of welfare. In some states, people are making $15 an hour. $15 an hour.
Call from Joe.
Hey, Joe, I'm glad you called. We're on radio. You have a question that you have for the audience? Yes, call me back because I'm on the radio right now. All right. All right. Well, listen. Let's talk in about 25 minutes. Okay. All right. So, getting back to the welfare versus work trade-off. You say there's a trade-off? Well, no, it doesn't seem like that because, again, the people on welfare are doing just fine. They have all that free time that they can devote to whatever their needs happen to be. In addition to that, we pay them. And with the tax credits and the deductions that are made, it's a no-brainer. Do you blame them? No, I don't blame them, but I certainly don't condone the activity. And it's time that we set our priorities right. If someone is able to work and doesn't work, they should have to forfeit the subsidies. And they don't even have to do that now because if they make less than $42,000 a year, they still get the tax credits. $42,000 a year is a lot of money for most people, most Americans who are in the lower tiers, we're going to say, that $42,000 a year, $4,000 a month, not bad. Not bad for not having to do a damn thing. But what are we going to do about it? Well, that's the good question. The big question is, can we afford to do what we're doing anymore? And I mentioned already that it's $1 trillion a year to take care of that need. $1 trillion. Now, we're already at 20 trillion. That means that next year it's going to be 21 plus. It's going to be 21 plus, and here's the reason why. You see, we haven't even considered the military uses and the like. And we're just spending another $81 billion for the war in Afghanistan. Well, maybe you could justify that if we were under attack. But how do you justify it when there's no gain? There's no win for the United States being involved in a country like Afghanistan. The only thing that we're going to get from it is casualties, destruction, and repatriation, which means that we pay 2 or 3 times, and that doesn't include the lives or the wounded that are going to come from it. When are we going to start minding our own business? Is that too much to ask? To take America first and make Americans great again? That's what our forefathers wanted. That's what they put in motion 200 some years ago. And they did a hell of a job. And at a hell of a price. Millions of Americans have been killed in order to preserve the liberties and justices that you supposedly have. And we're losing them. They keep coming at us and attacking and taking things to court and getting their favorite judge to rule on their behalf. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fair and equal parity in the law. Parity means even. It doesn't mean that you let illegals in the back door and then ask other people to come in legally. It means they all need to come in legally or they need to stay away. And if they don't stay away, that's our problem. Why is it our problem? It's simple. We haven't protected the borders. We have an open border society, and it's getting worse. We don't have it just coming in from Mexico or Guatemala. We have it coming in from Asia. We have it coming in from Syria. This is the world's melting pot. No, this is the world's boiling pot, because we're boiling over with excess expenses. And sooner or later, that steam is going to vaporize and there won't be anything left. Is there a better way to put it? Well, I don't care what you call it. We're depreciating and losing our valuable resources to people who have no business being in this country in the first place. Now you can say, well, that's mean and it's not the humane thing to do. Oh, really? What about in the 1800s when we slaughtered 500 nations of people? Was that the humane thing to do? What about the Civil War where we lost over 1 million Americans? Brother against brother, father against daughter. And we talk about being humane. To whom? At what point in time do we have to wake up and say, hey, we can't do this anymore? When? When is that going to happen? Is it going to happen after it's too late? Right now, we have attacks on members of Congress. There's 30 attacks that have been perpetuated against the Republican Party since May. We're only in June. 30 attacks. I don't hear anything on the Democratic side where they've been attacked. Not that I care. But the point is, 30 attacks on representatives that are supposed to be representing us. Now, if that were the end of the problem, well, that might be one thing. But we have other problems. We have people who say Trump is a traitor. We have people who say that Trump should be impeached. We have people who have cut off his head, of course, and we have people who say they want to bomb the White House. We have a war going on right here in the United States. It's not just ISIS. It's not just North Korea. It's Democrats against Republicans. Well, that is breeding grounds for civil war. Forced upon us by these people who demoralize, demean, and ridicule the administration. When are we going to start coming together and acting like human beings again? When are we going to be able to see the American dream again? You tell me. Can we continue down this deep and dirty trail? Can we continue to have these attacks? And do they have to be monumental, like 9/11? Don't be surprised. We've seen this before. We've seen it at the federal building by, yes, domestic terrorists. Domestic terrorists have no qualms. It's their moment in history for a lot of people, and that's all they care about, their moment in history. But how can we continue to work as a society when the cards are stacked against us? How long is it going to take them to find another excuse to delay the progress that was made under this new administration? Under the circumstances, he's done remarkably well because of all of the distractions and confusion that's going on in Washington, D.C. Isn't that where the presidency of the United States rests? Isn't that where the most respected position in America, the presidency, isn't that where we have an obligation to respect the office and the duties of that job? Yes, we do. But we're not doing it, and we're letting other people run over us, and it's time to stop the stampede. How are we going to do it? Lord knows. But you know, I started this program talking about work versus welfare, and that should give you a little bit of a clue. You see, because the $668 billion are going into the hands of other people who don't work, don't want to work, too lazy to work, or have not been penalized for their action. So, when you take that demographic group, and you see that California has 60% of the people on welfare benefits, subsidies, or something of that nature, and you wonder why California is a Democratic state, well, there's the reason why. And if you think that all of those people who vote Democratic are legal, you are sadly mistaken. Because if you want to go back to where these people really came from, and I don't care whether it's 10 or 15 years ago, you will find that there were forged documents and other forgeries that allowed them to gain temporary and then permanent residency here in the United States. Does that make them a citizen because they have committed fraud? No, I don't think so. I think that we have to look at the hard and long picture, and we have to make choices. It's either them or us. That's it. Them or us. And what are you going to do about it? Should we give them amnesty? Should we give them 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or 6 weeks to pack up and go? Do we start putting them in jail? Do we overload the prisons? Something needs to be done. What if we were to turn those liabilities into assets? Oh, how do you do that? Yes, how do you do that when so many of the people don't want to work because they're receiving subsidies that says, no, don't work? You can make $15 an hour off the government doing nothing. You have to make $20 an hour if you're working for somebody to make up the differences because of the tax. No, we can't turn our head anymore. No, we can't accept any more refugees from wherever, including Syria. We should have never accepted them in the first place. We had a president, a Muslim president. It will come out. It will come out. And we will be amazed at exactly how it was done, although we have a pretty good idea already. But now it's time to move ahead. It's time to change directions to make sure this ship sails again. And if we don't, we're going to lose the ship. Hook, line, and sinker. The choice is ours. Do we want to get involved, or do we want to sit back on the couch and watch the latest football games, basketball games, baseball games, boxing. Is that what you feel is your duty and your obligation? Or do you have a duty and obligation to think of your family and your heirs, those who are going to take over for us when we're through? How soon can we're through be happening? I'm not sure. No one is. But you know, it's as easy as someone pulling a trigger in North Korea or Iran or any other place where there's rogue nations who have a dislike for America. And it's not the Americans that they're after, it's the American government. Because we've been the aggressors and the killers in so many wars, we don't even know how many people we have killed. Now you can say, kill? Yes, I can say kill because that's what we do. We don't go to war to play tiddlywinks or musical chairs. We go to war to kill people. That's why we have weapons of mass destruction, whether they be the drones or the bombers, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons. We have them. And we can use them. We don't mind using them. But it makes you wonder why there are so many suicides in the armed services. Is it because they have come to the conclusion that there's nothing they can do and they don't enjoy killing other people? Or because they're just tired of life? Well, take your choice. But the consensus of opinion is because they don't like what they've been forced to do. And if someone told me to kill somebody, there's no way that I could do it. Oh, I don't want to say no way, because there is a way that I would do it. If there was a declared war and there was a known enemy, I would have no choice as a patriot to defend this country. And when I say this country, that's exactly what I mean. I don't mean Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, all of those God-forsaken places. What do you think? Do you think we should allow this continued massacre to keep going? Do you think that we should not take the time to understand the real problem and to deal with the real problems first, to make America strong again? And can we do it under the existing system? Hell no. We don't have a chance the way it's working now. And we have to change it before we become a third world country ourselves. How do we do that? Well, we can just bring in more third world people. That's one thing. We can help them out with our money. Yes, my money, yours, and everybody else's that pays taxes and who's done their job in support of America. Again, what are the options? Are we to sit back and just wait and take it? I don't think we can play that game anymore either. We have to start eliminating those who are in this country illegally, and I don't care whether they're from Syria, Mexico, Guatemala, France, England, Germany. It doesn't matter. If they're illegal, they're damn well illegal. And it isn't fair, and there isn't parity when someone gets excused from the law. Again, I want to remind you a couple things. First of all, the Las Vegas Tribune is a weekly publication that we put out here at this location. It is an internet station, so that simply means you don't have to go down and buy a newspaper or have a paper that you have to throw out and add to the trash. You can go on the internet. It's the Las Vegas Tribune. You'll find a lot of interesting information, things that you just won't hear on the air or someplace else. Yes, we have controversial opinions, and we don't mind being wrong. But you know what? As long as you keep your mouth shut, we'll continue. We'll continue to give you the information that you need. And if you avoid that information, you become the victim. You become the victim because all of a sudden other forces, outside forces, overpower you because you haven't gotten involved. So it is time for you to recognize that you have a vital part to play in the reconstruction of America. That's right, it's the reconstruction of America. We have that opportunity. We have a new administration. He's working hard to achieve all the goals and aspirations that he's put in place. And we have an obligation to support him, to make sure that he can accomplish the deeds that are necessary. It's not just the ones that he's promised, it's the ones that need to be done. And we can't take our time with it anymore. Yesterday they made the announcement about a solar system along the border. Well, let me tell you something. I'm a solar contractor. I know about solar. And I can tell you this, that would be one of the biggest mistakes that they could make. Because all we would be doing is supplying Mexico with a free supply of solar systems for their electrical purposes in Mexico and other places. You can't have low-hanging fruit and expect it to be around the next morning when you wake up. It just doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that solar is not an application that we need, because it is. But not that way. That's the wrong way. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. Just like there's a right way and a wrong way to provide subsidies for people who actually need it. And the right way to do it is to build a structure that is 60 feet tall, that nobody's going to want to climb up on too easily because they may fall off the roof. And to protect the solar system and everything, because, you know, as an army advances, you have to be careful that you don't lose what you just gained. But in order for us to be successful, we have to change the liabilities into assets. And that simply means no additional expenses without reward. And yes, can we, with what we've just talked about, earn the additional income? There's no question about it. The solar system, water, natural gas, and electricity are commodities that we sell on the open market. And with the system that ASB has, American Sunlight Public Expressway, which wasn't thought of just the day before yesterday, as a matter of fact, it had its origin around 2005. There is revenue coming in from the first mile. Now, what don't you understand about revenue versus expenditures? Tell me what you don't understand. Because there's only two ways that you can be in this world. And when it comes to the bank, you can either be the bank or you can pay the bank. That's it. Now, if we're the bank, if we're the ones that have this system, and they're paying us, isn't that better than us paying them? Isn't it better for us to do something that's mutually beneficial to the people on the other side of the border? And I don't care whether that border is over in Mexico or in Canada. It really doesn't matter. We have to protect the borders of the United States. Now, maybe all this is in vain because Yellowstone National Park is supposed to explode and take with it 70 to 80% of the population of the United States. And it appears that the federal government has made accommodations for 1 million people in 8 states. Now, I don't know what 8 states are, but I do know this. I know that that's not enough people because there's 330 million people in the United States, not 8,000. Oh, and they're talking about displacing 1 million to 3 different countries. That makes it 11 million. But that's a far cry from the 330 million. Well, today, we are at an area or point where we have to make some very clear choices. You cannot continue with the expenditures that are growing by leaps and bounds without the revenue to support them. And if you don't want that, then sit back and see what happens, because it won't be around for long. You will suffer, and you'll say, I wish I had it, instead of saying, I'm glad I paid attention, and we got together as a nation so that we can take this country forward and not backward anymore. I want to remind you again that this is Blu Laker, this is Cobra USA, and Cobra, by the way, is an insurance program that was put into effect in 1985 by Ronald Reagan, and it is still the law of the land today, and could easily replace Obamacare with a few amendments, because you see, it is not just an insurance plan, it is the law. And because it's a law, it doesn't have to go through Congress, it's already there. They can't sweep it out, not without a majority. So it's time for America to get on the ball again, to look forward to progress, and to do away with all the special interests and lobbyists that have turned this country upside down. Again, Blu Laker, this is Radio Tribune. Have a great day. We'll talk to you the first of the week, because there ain't nobody here mañana.